Hi, welcome to Audio Tips from a Pro. I'm Neil Kesterson. I've been a professional audio engineer for 40 years and I've learned a thing or two. I'd like to pass on some of my knowledge to you so that you can make your soundtracks shine. Let's talk about bass. Not the instrument, but the frequency. In a mix, bass is what usually gives us power. Take it away and our recordings sound lifeless. What if you're trying to get a punchy bass sound, but it ends up being muddy and undefined? It's probably all the unintentional bass frequencies in your mix that are making those big, honking woofers work overtime. Your problem is most likely an accumulation of low-end rumble bleeding into microphones. If you're recording a vocal, regardless of whether it's a male or female, there is usually unwanted rumble down below about 70 Hz. Filter that out by using a high-pass filter. A high-pass filter, usually labeled HP, lets frequencies pass through that are above a frequency threshold that you specify. It's usually a gradual downward slope from that frequency. So if you set the high pass at 70 Hz, everything above 70 Hz will be heard, and anything below 70 Hz will be gradually attenuated. As your tracks build up along with unfiltered rumble, the bottom end of your project will sound muddy. If you have sounds with natural bass, then those will arm wrestle with all that unneeded rumble. Make it a routine to roll off the bottom frequencies of all your tracks that have rumble. Once you've cleaned up the excess rumble, fatten up your bass. There are hundreds of tricks and plugins that give you bigger bass. But keep in mind that bass that is too strong will easily eat up real estate. That is to say, it would take over all your levels and meter if you don't tame it. Here are some basic things to remember and employ. Compression is your friend. I always stick basic compression on a bass track or low-end sound effect. You have to play with attack and release some, but generally, electric bass compression can be set to a quick attack with super long release times. This evens out any musicianship issues and lets the bass just roll at the bottom of the mix. I like vintage compressors or plug-in simulators when compressing bass. The vacuum tubes or simulation algorithms give a nice warm and gentle compression, especially to electric bass. You can also have even more control and success with multi-band compression. This is a compressor plugin that selectively compresses certain frequencies while leaving others alone. Multi-band compression can also boost the apparent level of some frequencies. Using the bass as an example, select the very bottom range of frequencies the bass is playing in. Select a compression ratio, say start at 4:1, and raise that frequency band instead of decreasing it. This will fatten up that bottom while controlling peaks that would have normally peaked your meters into the red. Another trick is to duplicate the bass track, overcompress one version, and blend it into the untouched version. This allows more expression to come through that might get squashed using heavy compression. Similar to the mic rumble fix, employ a low-pass filter on bass tracks. This works the opposite of a high-pass filter and reduces the treble of a track. If there are no overtones, such as what a string bass would produce, then get rid of those highs with a low-pass filter. These build up just like bass frequencies and add an overall hiss in your tracks. If you're recording an upright string bass or acoustic bass guitar, you might think about keeping the treble frequencies because of the unique overtones that come from these instruments. Thanks for watching. Have a question or want to suggest a topic? Email me at info@dxaudio.com. I'm the owner of Dynamics Productions in Lexington, Kentucky. Visit my studio website at dxaudio.com. I wrote a book called Push the Right Buttons, a practical guide to becoming and succeeding as an audio engineer and producer. Get a copy or listen to the audiobook at dxaudio.com/book or at most online retailers like Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Spark Ngram, and Google Play.